So, you want to know the full story about Viancy Garcia and Electric Avenue? Well, let me take you back a few years. I was just a rookie cop. Didn't know a lot. Wasn't very tough. But I heard stories about being in the field, so I applied for a job. They had not a few stops opened up at Diamond City, though. But they did have one very important one for me. And that's where it gets interesting. So I was called in by the mayor of Diamond City, and I told him about my experiences with working and just working close to home. However, he did not like that. Well, it's not that he didn't like it, it's just that he didn't want me here. He sent me off to a place called Sanctuary, and it was really famous around Diamond City for being the slums of the wasteland. There was nothing here. There was just destroyed houses. There was no redeeming quality. People literally all slept in one shack. It was the most pitiful sight you've ever seen. And worst of all, there were criminals everywhere. You would have druggies, murderers, gang members. Everyone in the city wanted to kill everybody. You had people selling anything they had right on the corner of the street. Anything just to get a quick snack. And I found this big old building. And right whenever I walked in, and what I seen on that sign, I knew that I was in some trouble. And I bet you thought that was the worst part. This police station was awful. First thing you gotta do is wait, and I had to wait half an hour just to get to talk to somebody. Set me upstairs, and the weapons there, all high-class weaponries, was just sitting there just waiting to get taken by somebody. And that training I said was literally just half an hour of just me watching some cops. That's not training. And worst of all, my final duty, tax fraud. Tax fraud, me working with papers. Tax fraud. But I was there for a long time, and I got to know a lot of people. Like my friend, Dr. Valentine. He was always a really good person, and I always respected him on the job. He never really did fail anybody. And then I met the two twins, the Dormies. I don't know how these two met each other, or even how these two are even related. But I didn't want to know. Rosie. She was nice when she wanted to be. And of course, there was Kevin. Kevin was our only DEA officer. And it doesn't help that he's actually addicted himself. So, it's not a very smart move to have your own DEA addicted himself. But eventually, he'll get off it. Hopefully. And then, we have probably one of my favorite people there. Crytron. His entire circuit board is just completely made out of 3 ninjas. All of it. Every single move. And then, there's Captain David. He seems cool enough, But you do not want to mess around. Eventually, I got in good with everybody. And I got some training. And I got an upgrade. A promotion. Promotion means more money. More money means a bigger house. And a bigger house means a bigger wardrobe. So I eventually got my own style going. And with your own style, you gotta have your own weapon. You know that promotion? That promotion was a good promotion. But it was also a dangerous promotion. And with the help of that promotion, made me the person who I was today. I was a DEA officer with David. We were just looking for some chems. It wasn't really a full-on priority that I'd like. But, it wasn't half bad either. We'd eventually look around, and then we'd find them. Our biggest one was the 4 crates that we found hiding right behind a bus. Then came that one night. Got a promotion of a homicide. A girl went missing and was found around a swamp. I was so scared. But with all my training, I knew that I was ready. I had no idea what to do. Like I said, I was a rookie. All I was used to was just filing out paperwork and finding drugs behind buses. This place was weird. I felt the tension in the air. And then, just like that, a ripple in the water. And then a gunshot. And I ran. There was a big firefight. I got hit a few times. I was still pretty scared, but I didn't let it stop me. The best way to know you're okay is to not show your fear. This guy was crazy. He was screaming at me saying he doesn't know. I've never killed a man before. I didn't think it was necessary, but after tonight, I don't think there's anything that wasn't necessary. I shot him in a few times. I eventually tried to maneuver around him, and I did. And then just like that, I snapped. And just like that, I killed him. I felt nothing that day. I only felt my own safety. That changed. Your preppy boy from Diamond City was no more. Then I just started training myself. Training myself not to feel. Training myself not to care. I went on goal runs everywheres. But then I went on to this one abandoned house. It was owned by the Garcia family. But for some reason the lights were still on. Checked downstairs. I found a mini nuke operation. Whoever was down here was still working on it. And like I said, safety was my main priority. Then, I got a call. It wasn't exactly a extravagant call, but it wasn't the worst call. Before I knew it, apparently the army saw my kill counter and seen how I reacted in the face of battle. Apparently they wanted me for a secret service. It wasn't like no spies or nothing, no. It was more like the government paying people who just were through too much and profited off of it while we went to battle. They picked me up in a big helicopter. And with those many zeros, how could you possibly say no? Took me to this big metal bird. It's called the Pridwin. It was cool enough. It was full of people. Some of them you like, some of them you didn't even want to talk to. And that's how I met the ones that I did not want to talk to. He wasn't a jerk. It's just he called me in at the wrong time. You see, his idea of a good soldier was maintaining and punishing. So, he sent me off. I met my first army group. Battalion is what they're called. And like I said about punishment, this was my first room. I know, exhilarating. Then, after a few days, I got my first call. Apparently, there was a group of bad guys. The Russians. Apparently, they took over the S. Boston military checkpoint. And that was a big place. There were a lot of people there. Let's just say, my time there was unforgettable. All I could remember was waking up in the hospital, them stripping me down, cutting me open, my heartbeat just beating. I could feel my body leave my soul. I thought I died. But then, a little heartbeat started. And that's how I knew I was gonna be okay. I eventually left the battalion, hoping to never see it again. You know how I said that the government was slimy and corrupt? Well, they are, but they're also extremely honest. What I asked for was that they would give these people $1 million to pay for funds and protection. And they did. They invested guns, walls, even extra cops while I was off duty. But the most important was we bought a suit. A super suit, a Titan suit, called the Fallout TS-10 for terrorist / severe 10. I don't know why we added in the 10 part. I guess I just feel that every magnificent device needs some sort of number in it. But I digress. Not only was I here, and not only was everything super, you know that something bad has to happen. And that's whenever I got the call about Electric Avenue. I checked around and asked everybody. Nobody and I mean nobody knew a thing. It was almost like they were paid to do it. It makes sense. Then I noticed a guy in the bar, shaking like a leaf in the wind. He was really nervous, and eventually I got an answer out of him. Apparently there was some evidence that I didn't check out in the VIP. So, I checked it out. And then I found a bottle. A bottle of Quantum Nuka-Cola. There was some questioning that I had to ask everybody. And eventually, I found these ragtag groups trying to get rid of more of it. Eventually, I was going to ask them nicely, but they didn't seem to want to. So, I had to take matters into my own hands. Wasn't exactly my cleanest arrest, but I'm certainly glad I'd done it. 'Cause I checked their pockets, and I found a cigar. Lucky for me, he was smoking it. There was just a little speck of brain on it. Luckily, there was enough on there for me to take it to the memory den. I played out the whole thing. I seen everything that he's seen. And my God, did I see a lot. So, apparently, Beyonce Garcia, the man that he killed, was the guy that made bombs. The same ones that I found in his old house. That must have been the bomb guy. The bomb guy was in that house. Heard all the shooting and all the killing, and then he left. This is a terrorist situation. Which means I was gonna have to break out the suit. It was only up to me, and me only. And let me tell you this. I do not take kind to people trying to destroy what I love. I was a boy raised in Diamond City, which means that I gotta protect it. But let me tell you this. After I'm done protecting Diamond City, Beyonce Garcia is gonna be the only guy that's gonna be need protection. I promise.